Hello there. How's it going? All right. So I don't have a lot of talk about today, so I thought I'd do a little bit of an update on some of the groups that I manage and some of the Facebook groups. So because what I've done now the last couple of days is that I've started this really sort of very focused Facebook group just for people around the districts close to my own home, because we have a 3 kilometer radius that we can move from within, and that means that and there's also still the quarantine, right? But we're allowed to do recreation for an hour. So I have invited people to do bird watching during that 1 hour, and then people that live nearby basically choose a park close to themselves, and I go there and I show them birds. So I've been doing that for 3 days in a row now. And that group is called Aves de Miraflores, Barranco, San Isidro, San Borja, Surco, Surquillo, etc. So it's really close by areas. So this is a very good strategy to get people motivated to go to start with bird watching in your own vicinity. So I got a scar up here. Okay, and but I have been doing a lot of Facebook groups since 2008, 2009. I started the first ones, and there are quite a few of them now that I manage and administrate. And it's not a whole lot of work, but it takes time to go through the settings and to approve members, to approve posts, etc. But what I've done now in recent months, actually, which is a great help also for moderators and administrators of Facebook group, is that now you can set settings in a way that you can moderate basically the whole group from the start. So any post that go through has to be moderated. And when you realize that people are actually posting and applying to the rules, then you just whitelist that person, right? So you have certain rules that people have to comply to, and that way you can maintain the quality of the group. Posts may not show up as fast as they should that way, but at least the groups don't get spammed that way. And for some of the groups, I've also taken in other moderators also, so they help me out with the sort of daily duties. But I think, I don't know, I probably have like 20, 30 different groups that I've started throughout the years. But of those, there are about, let me see on my list, it's about 12 or so that are still quite active, right? So I'm going to walk you through these groups. And so the first one I'm going to mention is the pelagic groups, pelagic group, pelagic or seabirds group. That was started back in 2009. So it's in June 2009. So that's 11 years now. And I'm the sole moderator of that. And this group is quite different from many of the other groups because it does allow commercial postings as long as it's about pelagics, right? So as long as you post something about an upcoming trip and it's about pelagics, that's allowed. Okay. Yeah, the other thing that people sort of it's hard for me to know when a person that becomes a member, if he is really a person that likes pelagic birds. I mean, that's the birds that occur far out at sea, right? So pelicans and gulls, etc., are usually not included in that group, and it's so that can create a little bit of a challenge sometimes to moderate those kind of groups. But it has been pretty good, nevertheless. I don't really need to put in a lot of work on that. The only thing that needs to be done is to approve new members, and there's a lot of new members all the time. The group now has 6,300 members, so it's quite a bit. And I have a few on standby now also that I need to go through when I'm done with this. Right, so jumping down to the next group, another group that I'm quite proud of that I've started as well. It was a bird identification group for North America. And that was created, I don't have the exact date now, but I think it was like 2012 or so. It's been around for quite some time. It now has 7,000 members, and it's a group for total beginners in North America. And the reason why I started that was because I started a blog called Birding 101 about the new ideas, how bird watching has been changing. This was 10 years ago, right? So it's quite some time. And I wanted to have like a group for that. And the group became sort of similar to what ABA has nowadays, that what's that bird, ABA, right? So it was that idea to give a platform for people who had never watched birds before to actually just post a picture and ask, "What's this?" And so we grown into a bird identification group for total beginners. And the level is very low, so there is nothing like a stupid question that you can ask in these groups, and you will always get an answer. And I also have a Neil Korn as a co-admin now to this group, so that helps me out a little bit on that. And obviously being in North America is a big help. Yeah, so that is a great group for beginners. What else? I've started a whale watching group that's not super active, but it's basically for promoting whale watching tours around the world, pretty much similar like Pelagics, in that you can post upcoming tours. There is another old group that I started also called 363 Hummingbirds. Everything about hummingbirds, and is especially neotropic hummingbirds. So we try to promote that. This group is co-admin with Osvaldo Cortés in Colombia, and there's a few other admins now also that are helping out. And Osvaldo had a group in Spanish, or rather bilingual, for when I started this group, but it had mainly Spanish-speaking members because it was started in Colombia. And so we thought together that it would be a good idea to start an English-speaking hummingbird groups, and also to try to get the focus away from just showing ruby throats from North America, and get more neotropical species. And that hence the name also. It was, I think it was originally 340 hummingbirds, but we changed the name to 363 hummingbirds when the Handbook of the Birds of the World came out, and it had 363 hummingbird species in it. Now, taxonomy, of course, is a thing that is always in flux. There are certainly many forms that may become species eventually in that group. Anyway, a nice group that you can join up if you haven't done so already. Jumping down here. All right, there's a group I started about half a year ago, and it's called World Birders Against Climate Change. It hasn't been very active, but the idea here is to come up with good projects. If you have any sort of birding project that conserves threatened birds in particularly, and also protects habitat, so it could be a combination. Please join that group and spread the word, right? So we're trying to get some new get some positive ideas showing that world birding is not the bad when it comes to climate change, but rather a thing that is necessary for the conservation of birds. And if we can combine carbon offset and conservation at the same time, and the birding tourism, which then supports that sort of activity, that would be a great thing. So that's another good group to join. In a similar notion with that is what we started just a month ago, and during this COVID as well, and certainly a group that will grow much more, and it's called World Virtual Bird Fair. All the birding festivals in the world now have been sort of suspended this year, and there are no birding festivals, no bird fair, and so, and you can see there's a lot of activity of operators, individuals that are doing live webinars and talks, such as I am doing right now. Right, we're all doing this, and it would be good to have a platform where we can showpiece ourselves virtually, and that is supposed to be the platform. Eventually, we, through the members of the group, different birding operators around the world, will do a virtual bird fair online, and it will probably be sometime next month, I would suppose, when we have a clearer picture when international travel can start again, so we can actually promote specific trips with our talks, specific dates when trips are happening. But since everything is sort of up in the air right now, I don't feel that it's going to be very productive to have this virtual bird fair right now. So it's something coming up, but meanwhile, please join the group and share whatever sort of virtual events you have at the time being. And that is also open for commercial venues, so that's not a problem there. Otherwise, in many of the groups that I manage, I have a very strict commercial policy that no commercial posts are allowed. Commercial pages are usually not allowed either. And we don't like sharing from profiles and pages, but rather having people to upload directly. So there's one group called World Birding Tours, and their bird watching companies around the world can post as long as they do that as individuals rather than being a company posting, right? So they can post as individuals, and they post a picture, right? When they post that picture, they are invited to say something about the bird that is on the picture, and then they can put a link to whatever tour they're doing, or whatever with that picture. But it's mainly to promote world birding, and also to give a platform that is not sort of commercial in your face, so it doesn't it gives you a value to watch the pictures without feeling that this is just a commercial venue. But so it's something in between there, and I think that works as a model as well. So other groups, let's see now what we have here. All right, that are pretty much the ones that are sort of international, and yeah. So I coming down now to my sort of local groups here in Peru that I manage, and here I have Aves de Peru, which is in Spanish. There is also a Birds of Peru, no, Birding Peru, sorry, Birding Peru group, but it doesn't have a lot of members, and it's not a lot of activity. But that one is in English, right? So. But if you speak Spanish and you're here visiting, you can always post to Aves de Peru in Spanish, and it has about 6,000 members, so it's a fairly decent number, and it's to promote the hobby of bird watching in Peru. There are other groups in Peru that also are in Spanish, for bird watching and for ornithology. They are some of them are well, they have a more academic, what should I say, an academic background to them, right? This group that I started is totally about bird watching. It's not about census work or courses, academic courses, or anything like that, right? So, or ringing and etc. But it's about bird watching and bird photography, and so we're trying to keep the group clean, and that has been kind of hard in the previously, but now with the new tools for group owners and administrator of groups that Facebook provided, we can now admin and just allow posts. We moderate the posts basically, so we allow the post afterwards what we see, what kind of content there is. So there's one group for Peru, and then there's another one for Lima, Aves de Lima, and that has about 3,500 members. I have started also groups for all the different departments in Peru, but just because there weren't any. But now there are other people sort of having started other departmental groups, so it's really not much activity in the groups that I started, and they don't really feel much of a function at all. They're still there if people want to, if they want to look for old stuff, but there's not much activity going on in most of them anyway. Anyway, so that's it about Facebook groups. I hope you will join some of these if you find any. And you can also recommend your best Facebook groups that you want to promote. I've been promoting one previously that I like a lot, that has turned up now during COVID-19, and that's the Bird Defect at Home group, run by Ed Williams et al. Started in Australia, and it's got more than 5,000 members now. That's really a lot of fun in that group. So that's a group that I always like talking about. And please, so put some comments in below this video. And also, if you want to support, I've been saying this now for a few days, I've started a Patreon page. I don't have any income right now, so if you want to support my web activity, my webinars, my talks, my singing projects, whatever you feel like has any value for you, there is now a Patreon page where you can make recurring support of $3 per month is the sort of the tip box. And if you want to support a little bit more and you're a big fan of all the stuff that I'm doing here, there's a $10 bucket as well. And if you want to save up for a boating trip in the future, you can do that by putting down $100 per month. And it's a recurring event, so you don't really have to think about it. It's just sort of you use your credit card, you go in on patreon.com, and it's paid via PayPal to my PayPal account. Okay, so I see you here next time. It's patreon.com/Gunnar Engblom. I'll see you here next time. Bye now.